Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Look, we live in a day and age where negativity sells, right? People love to click on links where it's about negativity, where it's about drama, where it's about outrage. You won't believe what this guy said. ESPN hates Tennessee when you talk about the Heisman screw job, Peyton Manning getting screwed. You know, everybody loves negativity and drama, and we like to be the villains. That's just who we are as Tennessee fans. But what happens? What happens if the media starts to show a little positivity? What happens if the media starts to jump on the hype train? What happens when the media starts to believe that Nico's going to be the future of college football? I was listening to the football recruiting podcast over at 247 Sports, and they were talking about which coach will make it to the college football playoff first. Will it be Brent Venables at Oklahoma? Will it be Kalen DeBoer at Alabama? Will it be Brian Kelly at LSU? Or will it be Josh Heupel at the University of Tennessee? And a lot of the conversation around those guys was about who do they have in place at the quarterback position. And a lot of people disagree with me, man. A lot of people in this community want to say that defense still wins championships. They want to pretend that it's still 1996. We're going to run the power hour. We're going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're going to punt the football. We're going to win on defense. Defense wins championships. And, you know, everything is always a balance, but I think it's a quarterback-based game now. I think the quarterback's the most important player on the field. I think it's crucial to land your guy every cycle. That's why it's so big that Josh Heupel got Nico. It's so big that Josh Heupel got Jake Merklinger penciled in there in between Nico and George, two guys that are extremely highly rated prospects coming out of high school. We talk about it all the time. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have guys that can protect the quarterback, and you got to have guys that can get after the quarterback. And everybody, you know, they want to talk about defense. And again, there are some exceptions to the rule, but when you look at the college football playoffs, you look at the national championships over the last few years, Michigan this season scored 35.9 points per game. That was 14th in the country. Georgia in 2022, 41 points a game. That was 5th in the country. Georgia in 2021, 38.6 points per game. That was 9th in the country. It goes on and on. Alabama, 48.5 points per game in 2020. That was 2nd. LSU in 2019 on Joe Burrow's back scored 48.4 points per game. My point is you got to score points. You got to score points to win. What was the problem? What was the problem for Tennessee football in 2023? Wasn't the defense. As much as a lot of us want to blame the defense, we want to talk about the secondary, we want to point the fingers at Tim Banks. Some people wanted to fire Tim Banks last year. That was not the problem. The problem was on the offensive side of the ball. What was the difference between that team in 2022 that went out and won 11 games and the team that won 9 games in 2023? Scoring offense. Number 1 scoring offense in the country in 2022, 37th in the country in 2023. Meanwhile, the defense under Tim Banks gets better every single year. They went from 90th in year 1 to 36th in year 2 to 23rd in year 3. Just how good do they have to be? Is Josh Heupel, is Tennessee a college football playoff contender in 2024? We're going to take a listen to what they said over at the Football Recruiting Podcast. But as always, guys, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy, it helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, first time listening to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We don't pretend to be any of that. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. We're going to be live later tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Watch party, Tennessee versus Auburn on the old basketball court. That will be a good time hanging out with the community. But let's jump right in. Let's take a listen to what they had to say about Nico and Josh Heupel in 2024.
I like Tennessee. Tennessee is where I win. I think immediately, I think about Josh Heupel, that offense, what they brought in, obviously at the skill positions. I think the quarterback makes it go. You think about the success that they had 2 years ago with a guy like Hendon Hooker. You and I talk about it all the time. Timing, anticipation, accuracy. That's how that offense goes, right? It's a up-tempo offense, and it's all built around efficiency. I think Nico's that guy. I don't think they had that last year in Joe Milton because that's not his skill set. Sure, a lot of arm talent, but in terms of being able to play within himself, that's not his game.
So again, we're talking about Joe Milton. We looked at the numbers, right? You look statistically at what Joe did on paper in 2023. It doesn't look that bad. He threw for almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That doesn't look that bad. But what he did managing the game, Joe Milton was the problem. Maybe the wide receivers were part of the problem as well. The passing game was not what it was in 2022. Does Nico change that? Can Nico alone change that? I think he's shown us a little glimpse. I think what we saw in the orange and white game gave us a little glimpse. Then what we saw in the Citrus Bowl gave us a little glimpse when it mattered, when the bullets were real, when you're playing one of the top defenses in the country. I know people want to devalue that. That's what they do with Tennessee. They say this is what's going to be a problem for Tennessee. Tennessee goes out and beats that problem, and then all of a sudden, well, Iowa's defense really wasn't as good as we thought. Really wasn't as good as is that real? Is that the truth? Or did Tennessee go out and play good football with Nico Iamaleava at the quarterback position? Scrolling through the Monday night chat over at VolQuest earlier this week, one of the questions they asked, which position group is going to be the most improved in 2024? Two of the answers, quarterbacks, wide receivers. I think the passing game is going to improve in 2024. Let's hear more from the Football Recruiting Podcast.
I get excited when I think about Nico and this offense, and yeah, maybe a little bit of recency bias coming off the Cheez-It Bowl as well. But I really like Tennessee, and I just gravitate to quarterback. And you think about guys like Jordan Ross and David Hobbs and what they've done defensively as well.
So you're talking about Jordan Ross, a guy that's coming in as a true freshman. And look, patting Coach Jay on the back. He called it. We did a film breakdown on Jordan Ross early in the recruiting cycle. He said, Boogie, that's my number one guy on the defensive line. That's who I want Rodney Garner to go get. Rodney Garner gets him. His recruitment blows up. We see him wrecking shop in the Polynesian Bowl. Jordan Ross is a guy that they are saying could come in as a true freshman and make an impact. They also mentioned David Hobbs. Tyree Weathersby is another guy to keep an eye on throughout camp going into the 2024 season. He is a guy that this coaching staff was high on going into 2023, had the hip injury, was out for the year after season-ending surgery. But you're rattling off some names there in Jordan Ross and David Hobbs that are probably in the two deep. You're not even talking about the fact that this football team, this coaching staff is returning everybody on that defensive line outside of Tyler Barron. And, oh, by the way, another guy that showed out during the Cheez-It Bowl, another guy that showed out during the Citrus Bowl, the Gatorade 500 Bowl, whatever it's what you want to call it, Tyree West. I think Tyree West is going to step right in and fill in where Tyler Barron was at. This defensive line, we've talked a lot about them bringing back the entire offensive line outside of Gerald Mincy. Don't be a Gerald. Don't be a Gerald. What are you doing? We upgraded that position with Lance Hurd. You might as well say that Josh Heupel added another 5-star when you got Lance Hurd to transfer from LSU. We're talking a lot about the offensive line, but nobody's talking about how freaking dominant this defensive line is going to be in 2024. James Pierce, Big Omari Thomas, Bryson Eason, Omar Norman Lott, Joshua Josephs, Tyree West, Jordan Ross, David Hobbs. I can go on and on. The defensive line is going to be dominant in 2024.
What they've done in the secondary, they're one of the most deceptive rosters, I think, pound for pound in terms of how they've built this thing over the last 2 cycles as well. So, Drew, I'm high on Tennessee. I like Tennessee a lot. And who would have thought? I mean, those are 3 really, really good coaches. And I think the other team could be Oklahoma.
The other team could be Oklahoma. That's one that's circled on the calendar. It's been circled on the calendar since January rolled around. I'm excited for that game. I think that's when the season really starts to take off. I think Tennessee rolls into that game undefeated. Can they get the win over Oklahoma on the road? If so, I think they're going to be 6-0 when Alabama comes to town on October the 19th. One of the other things I like them talking about there in that show is, that Tennessee's roster is deceptively good. Everybody wants to talk about incoming recruits. Everybody wants to talk about transfer portal, and rightfully so, but nobody wants to talk about true roster management in returning your entire offensive line outside of Gerald Mincy. Hashtag don't be a Gerald. You upgraded that with Lance Hurd, and then everything that I just said about the defensive line. The quarterback position is going to be upgraded. The wide receiver room, upgraded. Tight end position, I'm going to call it a wash. I think adding Holden Stace was huge. The number 1 ranked tight end in the portal. People want to say Josh Heupel didn't have enough success in the portal. He added the number 1 ranked tight end. I think Ethan Davis has a ton of potential. I think the running back room is going to be just fine. The big question right now, a lot of you guys are asking, I'm asking, can Dylan Sampson, does his pass blocking improve? Can he protect Nico when asked to do so? You're losing a 1,000-yard rusher in Jalen Wright. I called my shot last offseason. I said Jalen Wright's going to get 1,000. I'm going to go ahead and call my shot right now, boys. Dylan Sampson, go ahead and Write me down for 1,200 yards in 2024. I think this running back room is going to be just fine. So a little positivity from the media when they said who's going to be the first coach to make it to the college football playoff. Brent Venables at Oklahoma, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, Brian Kelly at LSU, or Josh Heupel at the University of Tennessee. Who do you think? Jump into the comment section. Let me know. As always, make sure you smash the thumbs up. On the way out the door, go check out our merchandise. Go check it out. We're going to be dropping some of the old designs, adding some new ones this upcoming season. So if you like some of that old stuff, particularly the Alabama scoreboard shirt, that's going to be going away forever. Go check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below. Quick shout out to the members of the channel. If you don't have a power T beside your name in the chat, in the comment section, fix that. Hit the join button down below. You can get in for just $1 a month. You support what we're trying to build with this channel. We would greatly appreciate it. But that is going to do it. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.